Hello and welcome to my channel. Hi, I'm Wendy J. Haney. This video is a special one that I'm working hard to get out here pretty dang quick. So, flying by the seat of my pants and no, nothing fancy today. I recently discovered while browsing Facebook a site called Kennel Quilts. That's interesting. As I'm sure many of you know, out here in Eastern Tennessee, we're kind of western eastern here by Knoxville, so we did not get hit with the awful stuff that happened further east, basically about a little over 2 hours east of us. They got nasty stuff in Tennessee, and the awful stuff that's going on in North Carolina, in Asheville, in South Carolina, and now in Florida. They've got hit with a double whammy with both Helene and Milton. So a lot of things are going on. And this thing popped up on my Facebook because, well, you know what? A lot of the stuff I like and comment on. Quilts, doggies. Yep. And I know a lot of you are wanting to do something to help people. And I've heard a lot of people wanting to send quilts and trying to send quilts to stores. I'm going to be honest with you. Right now, they don't need quilts. They don't have any place to be. So save those thoughts of sending quilts for later. But right now, for those of you that are passionate about your fur babies and people that are rescuing them need help. And so Kennel Quilts is an organization that was formed after Hurricane Sandy to help animal shelters. It was started by the Quilt Pattern magazine, which is an online-only magazine, and the Pet Finder Foundation. Kennel Quilts is a volunteer organization, so whenever disaster strikes, they hear from pet finders, reach out and find out what animal shelters are in need of assistance. And they then post it on their website. You can find them at kennelquilts.com. And Kevin's going to post a link here somewhere so that you can go out there. It's a basic website that has all the information you need. But this is where I've decided I'm going to do something that I can do. I have limited time, but just the thought of all those animals that are now in a shelter, they're lost. They've lost their families. And those rescue organizations are going to need help. So this is something that we can do for them to make them something special. So here's the deal. Go to the website. It tells you which places need help. There's currently ones for Tennessee pets, Georgia pets, Florida pets, and what? I chopped off the link. Probably North Carolina and South Carolina too. Go out there, find what organizations need these kennel quilts, and in a minute, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing and, more importantly, what you need to do this. Okay, these kennel quilts, I'll have to admit, I'm kind of surprised how small they want them, but there's some pictures on the website, kennelquilts.com, that show the little cats all snuggled up in these little blankets. And so I know if anything happened to Charlie, I would want somebody being taken care of him. Yep, so what I did was, for those of you that know, I'm doing all these blocks to show you how to do things. And what do I do with them? I throw them in a bin and I'm like, let's see what we got in there. The size of the kennel quilt is 12 by 18. This is manageable size. It won't take you long at all. Go into your stash. I'm going to go into my stash, and you know all that fabric that you maybe collected over the years? Oh yeah, I got fabric from when I was in high school that's pre-washed, and usually I don't pre-wash my fabric when I quilt. So it's like, oh, I don't dare combine that with other stuff. It'll be perfect for backing, because one of the things you want to do is either pre-wash your fabric before you start, or for me, I will make sure the quilt gets washed after I make it. Dogs have allergies too, so it's very important that it is washed and clean. It doesn't have new fabric stuff on it. Also, 100% cotton fabric. Yep, 100% biodegradable, natural. No embellishments, no funny metallic stuff. Don't try and go fancy. Use short stitches when you piece and very simple quilting. And, you know, if you're going to do applique, keep it very simple and lock it down tightly. But remember, cats, dogs, they have claws. They're going to paw on this, and you don't want them to have anything loose or too big of stitches that their claws could get stuck in. So even when you're quilting, you probably want to do stitch length that's closer to what you would use for piecing than you might normally use for quilting. Stitch in the ditch. Do it on your domestic machine. Super, super simple. So I went and I grabbed my bin of finished blocks that I don't know what I'm going to do with. Well, guess what? Oh my gosh! I have cat blocks. Look at there. It's like, okay, I have 2 of them. They're not going to get used. I'm going to be completely honest with you. So what I discovered is if I put 2 of these together, I'm going to take off this piece here, put 2 of them together, and I think lose this end here, and we chop it off, and I immediately have a 12 by 18 inch kennel quilt. Slap some batting on it and fine backing, and I'm good to go. It's that simple. Oh yeah, let's see. These 2 pieces, I think they're like, what are they? They're like 9-inch blocks. Okay, guess what? There's my 18. I need like 3 more inches around it at the top, so an 1.5 inch strip top and bottom. I got a kennel quilt. 6-inch squares. Oh, look at there. These are simple 6-inch squares. You could practice your techniques on 6-inch squares. Sadly, I only have 2 of these, so those aren't going to work. But 6-inch squares, 2 high, 3 wide, 12 by 18. Oh, look at this. I found all these 4-inch squares. It's not going to quite do much for my 18-inch width, but seriously, I could slap these all together pretty dang quickly and have a top done for the kennel quilt. Here's the thing. Guess what? No binding. I love that. Get it done, then you're going to stitch it and flip it. It is that easy. I'm going to get one of these done, and then I'm going to show you how to do that to make sure you understand the order you need to place things so that when you stitch around the edges and then flip it, so that the batting ends up on the inside and the backing and the top are right side out. I flipped a baby book once and oops, batting ended up on the outside. Yeah, don't do that. So that makes that simple. Also, no tied quilts. All this information is on the website. Kevin's going to post it here, and it's also going to be in the description. So go check it out. Make sure you pay attention to the details. Reach out to the kennels, see what they need, and the site also has information on how to mail the stuff out there and have some fun and do something for the fur babies. They need your help too. And this is something that all of us that know how to sew can very easily do and help out with it. And you know what? If you know how to sew, but you're like, oh, well, I'm not doing a quilt. Well, guess what? Put 2 pieces of fabric together, batting in the middle, stitch rows across it for the quilting portion, and guess what? You've got a kennel quilt. It is that easy if you too want to help. Okay, I'm going to go get a few tops done and pick out some backing, and then I'll show you how to stitch around and flip it over before you're ready to quilt it. And there we go, lickety split, a little trimming off the bottom to have it only 12.5 by 18.5, and I have a size for a kennel quilt. This will be perfect for a kitty. And I went to my stash to have some pre-washed fabric that I would never use. Well, guess what? I don't think it was pre-washed because it still had a lot of creases in it. Anyway, it was easy. Does it coordinate? Not completely. But you know what? I don't think the kitty or the doggy is going to mind. So if you got something and it works, and you know you aren't going to use it for something else, then put it to good use. That's what I'm doing. After I got it cut, because remember, the finished size is 12 by 18, which means you need to cut everything 12 and a half by 18 and a half. I decided I think next time I'm going to cut it a little larger instead of going with my normal traditional 1/4 inch seam that I would use for quilting, and go with a 5/8 inch seam, which is a little over a 1/2 inch. That would be much more appropriate to stay, to keep things tighter and not have such a small seam. Okay, I cut my batting. As you can see, my batting is a little oversized. I will trim it up. I'm putting my backing on it, and the backing is right side up with the batting underneath it. Then I'm going to put my kitties right side down. So you're putting your backing and your top right sides together. Then stitch around the outside. As I said, 5/8 inch seam would be much better than a 1/4 inch seam that we traditionally do for quilting. And leave enough room, top, bottom, side, I don't care, for you to flip it. You are going to need to do some hand stitching, some whip stitching to close this up when you're done. Stitch around the outside, leaving enough room to flip it inside out. Then, when that is done, flip it inside out. I'll be like that with all your seams, press it, and then quilt it. I'm gonna literally take it to my domestic sewing machine, and I'm gonna do diagonal cross hatching. That's it. Call it good, and then I'm gonna throw it in the wash and make sure all the, whatever, because I thought this was pre-washed. Don't think it is. And get it all washed before I send it off. I am going to do a few of these, and then I will reach out to the kennels that they have, the rescue organizations they have identified on the website, make sure of what they need, if they need more, if they need fewer. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. This will mean a lot to a lot of fur babies out there and help the rescue organizations, the animal shelters that I know in so many areas right now have got to be inundated. And so I know my Charlie loves his quilts. He has quilts all over the place. That doggy bed, the couch, the bed. So this will show some love to somebody else, little fur baby that's looking for some right now. So go check it out, kennelquilts.com. They're also on Facebook. Yeah, go check it out and see what you can do to help. And here we are, another day, and I have a kennel quilt done. Yep, all I did was I took off the edges of my original cat blocks, chopped off some of the bottom, and lo and behold, we had a 12.5 by 18.5 inch piece of fabric. So there we've got that, and I'm going to put a link here so you can go see my cat video on how to make this cat block. And then I'm also going to add to that pattern and tell you how to crop it so that you can make it just this, so that you can use it for your kennel quilt. So if you want that pattern, just email me at contactme@wendyjhaney.com and ask for the cat block template, and I will get it sent off to you. All I did was quilted on the diagonal. Now, as far as the hole that I left, normally when I quilt, I'm pretty careful. I'm a pretty good hand stitcher. So I do the nice hidden stitch in between everything so that you can't see it. This time I did tight whip stitch. You can see it, and I don't care. It's more important to have it nice and tight and secured. And you know what? If you decide you want to top stitch 1/8 of an inch around the edge, hey, there you go. So there we go. I have a kennel quilt already. And then I showed you the other one that I had these spare blocks that I'm like, don't know what I'm going to do with it. So I put those into another one. This one, I just started it. I'm quilting in the ditch. I had to add strips of fabrics on the top and the bottom because I think these were 9-inch blocks. Yep, that would make sense. 9-inch blocks to get my 18. So there we go. Threw some fabric on the back. We're gonna have another one ready to go. And guess what else? So, okay, maybe you don't have spare blocks laying around like I do. You can just put 2 pieces of fabric together, batting in the middle. That works too. Or if you're like me and you're a serious quilter, I bet you have strips of binding. Yup. Now, if I left my stash or my scraps so they were all by size, I would have had a bin of 2.5-inch strips I could pull from. Well, I reversed and did everything by colors. But I went into my peachy bin, and look at there. These are all more than 12.5 inches long, so I needed 9 of them to be 18.5 across. And if you've got other ones that are longer that you can do an 18-inch across, then you only need 6 down. Mine are 2.5-inch strips. So there's another idea to use up those 2.5-inch binding strips to make a kennel quilt. Lots of ideas. So if that is something you're interested in helping those little wonderful fur babies and giving them something lovely to be sitting on, think about donating some kennel quilts. I'm going to get 3 of them done and get them sent off as quickly as possible to the shelters in Eastern Tennessee to support them. So hope you found this helpful. Take care, and thank you so much for watching and taking care of the little fur babies.